It feels like January 37th out. The hot stove has gone cold. What else are we to do to make baseball season seem a little closer? I don't know, but we got some hot takes for you today. Are they going to be eye-watering takes, or are they going to be just mild? Let's find out.
Tanner Bagger, the Guardians, and you're listening to Locked On Guardians.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to today's episode of Locked On Guardians. As we said, it's going to be a hot takes episode. If you listen to the show long enough, you know that Jeff and I are not hot take artists. We don't generally bring strong takes. We try to bring facts and reason and analyze them and some common sense. So we haven't talked about what we have on our lists for hot takes. I haven't seen Jeff's. He hasn't seen mine. So I'm very eager to see what we came up with, considering I would say you and I are both pretty mild when it comes to this stuff. So I got a great story too about wing eating contest that I can share before we get started. But we'll do that, and we'll also read some insider hot takes as well. We've got some collection from that group, so we're excited to get those underway as well.
Yes, but first I want to take a moment and say today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Having stated that, now I want to tell you, I'm Jeff Ellis. I used to write about prospects in the draft as one of the first people they brought on to talk about baseball here at Locked On. And yeah, I used to write nationally at Scouting 24/7, and you might be hearing me from time to time on WTAM. So yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff over there from you, Jeff. I am Justin Laddie, other co-host. I've been around since 2000s. I've been around since 1989, but I've been around the Guardians minor league system since 2007. I used to be the editor-in-chief of Guardians/Indians Baseball Insider. Lots of fun there. Having fun stuff working over at Substack now at Next Year in Cleveland, News Herald, Morning Journal, Prospects Live, all that kind of good stuff too. I got lots of writing coming there. Coming up, don't forget, it's already this week, Jeff, by the way, February 1st. It is Locked On Guardians Live Stream Fest. You and I are going to hop on at our usual time on Saturday, February 1st at about 9:30 Eastern. We're going to send all of our Locked On Guardians insiders the Google Meet link this week, and everybody who's an insider can join us for a chat. We're going to just have a little bit of fun and talk baseball, talk Guardians, and just try to generally make up the conversation we may not be having at Guards Fest. I know I can't totally make up for Guards Fest, and maybe next year we can make it even bigger, but be there with us and sign up. We have a lot of fun. The link's in the show description. It's also on the YouTube screen. We'd love for you to hang out. I was at a season ticket holder event on Sunday night with the Guardians, and as other people were, I took some notes of what came away and shared some of those thoughts with our insiders already tonight on Sunday, and also, again, solicited their hottest takes for today's show. So get over there, too. We're also about less than 300 away now from 4K on YouTube, so we'd love to get to 4K before spring training starts. We're so close. I feel like we can get there before spring training, but we'll see. All right, let's heat the show up, Jeff. I have not seen yours. You have not seen mine, literally and figuratively. So
let's leave that one on the table.
Yeah, some real hot takes there. You want to start, or should I start with hot takes?
I think you have more than me, so why don't you start?
All right. This might be a little controversial. I don't think it's controversial to maybe our listeners, but I think it's controversial in terms of people who maybe are not paying super close attention, but the Guardians are actually not good at drafting. They are better at making trades. If you look at the Guardians roster right now, who are your guys you drafted and developed yourself? There's Steven Juan. I guess we'll count Jose Ramirez, even though he's kind of his own man.
No, he's draft and develop. He came up. He's 100%.
He
He wasn't a draft. He's an international signing, but he's still
internal. I'm counting him. We've got Will Brennan. We do have Bo Naylor and Brian Rocchio, but jury's still out on those guys. Pitching right now, you've got Tanner and Gavin and Tristan, but the jury's out on Gavin and Tristan, right? But look at your biggest guys on this team, right? Who are your biggest contributors? Carlos Santana is expected to be a contributor this year, and Josh Taylor was a year ago. All trades. Carlos Santana originally was a trade. Kyle Manzardo, trade. Lane Thomas, trade. Juan Brito, who might be the starting second baseman, trade. Luis Ortiz, trade. Emmanuel Clase, trade. Paul Sewald, trade. David Fry, trade. They did draft Shane Bieber. They did draft Sam Hentges.
The bullpen they've actually been pretty good at. That's the one, which is funny. because for the years, like I talked about for the longest time, like David Risky had the third highest WAR of anyone they had drafted in Major League history for their bullpen. But, it's like you got Cade Smith, you got Hunter Gaddis, you got Tim Herron, you got Walters. If Henches was healthy, you'd have him. The next wave is a little bit more shaky with the Alamans and Magnus Ellerts of the world.
Yeah.
But those aren't set.
Go back and look at 2016, 2017. You signed or you drafted like guys like Jason Kipnis, but Santana was a trade. Mike Napoli was a free agent. Edwin was a free agent. Jan Gomes was a trade. Corey Kluber was a trade. Mike Clevenger was a trade. Carlos Carrasco.
Yeah, that was 100% how they made that. That's even go back further. Go back to
Brantley.
Yeah, you go back to like the 07 team that got close. That was all trades because they were even worse. Hot take. The drafting is improved. There was a period where
it's improved.
Yeah, like from CC Sabathia until Lonnie Chisenhall, I don't think they had a drafted prospect be a regular, a first round player be a regular between those two players. So the 07 team that maybe was the best chance this team has had to win a World Series if they just take care of Boston was all trades. Like no one internal almost on that entire. Brian Garco,
CC
and Garco and Carmona,
Victor,
aka Roberto Hernandez.
Victor and Asdrubal were international signings.
No, Asdrubal was a trade, Mariners.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, Peralta.
Yes, Peralta. And Raffy lefty, but not Raffy righty.
Right, Grady Sizemore trade. Yeah, I got some takes later for the 05-07 team. So, yeah, okay, maybe bad's a little harsh, but they're definitely better at trades than they are at their own
100%
draft and develop. I would say,
and that's why. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, for a team that just has to thrive on drafting and developing, you probably want to be better at your own drafting and developing. And I know drafting's hard, and if you get like the 2016 draft, that was a great one, right? If you get a few guys through, you did good, but they're definitely better at trading, and maybe that's part of drafting and developing is moving guys in trades.
And that's why, like, I always tend to people get mad at me whenever trades happen, but I'm like, I don't know, like their track record is really good with pitching. It's like when they targeted Slade Ciccone, when they targeted Luis Ortiz, when they're targeting, Josh Hartle, and I'm blanking on the other kid who's a little interesting lefty as well. Michael, right? But it's like even like they do so well in all those trades. It's like that is where I kind of sit back and I go, it's hard for me to criticize because that is where they make their hay, as it were. That is what seems to be until they show me. The times they do terrible in those deals feels like when they do the reverse, when they trade prospects for something. Like that's when you had your Caminero, that's when you had your Yandy. But it's like they haven't had a lot of trades where they've traded a piece and not gotten one or two solid pieces back.
So did I leave you running for water with that, or are you just pretty?
I know because I think it's pretty mild.
Okay, all right. Let's hear your first one.
Okay, so my first one, and this might get me in trouble. This year we saw the Hall of Fame ballot and all these players that were on there, and there's always this debate internally, and I've been hearing my whole life about, Omar Vizquel with the Hall of Fame. My hot take is that right now we should still be discussing Kenny Lofton for the Hall of Fame, and Omar should have fallen off on the first one. That if you had to pick one to stay on and one to fall off, that it should have been Lofton who's still up for debate and still talked about, and Omar who fell off because Lofton was the superior player. He played, maybe he wasn't, he was pretty special as a defender in center field as well. Like, let's not leave that by the wayside. I know Omar was his own thing, but Lofton was an excellent defender and he was special with a bat. You go and you look at the numbers, and yes, he had a degree of compiling, but so did Omar. But I think Lofton was the better player, and I don't think it's really close.
Lofton should already be in. He should already be in. He already fell off the ballot anyway, but he would have been.
He fell off the first year.
I know he would have been off because the writers were making a statement, and it's a joke. But he would be. If he didn't make it in, he'd be off the ballot by now anyway. Like he would have been if he got this far. But Lofton should already be in. I'll go even a little spicier on this for you. If there's playing the morality piece with the Hall of Fame is really difficult because there are a lot of people in the Hall of Fame that are very questionable character wise, and there's a lot of off the field stuff with Omar. Mm-hmm. I would surmise to say if you removed all the off field stuff, Omar and Lofton should both be in. If I'm blind to anything that doesn't happen baseball wise, I would say
I've never been an Omar supporter my whole life, and I know that'll get me in trouble in the comments because people love him, but it's like yeah, he put up great numbers, but relative to the era he played in, it wasn't that great. Like he wasn't the value of others. And now I know that'll get me in trouble, but he's the classic Hall of Very Good type to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to punish Omar for. I mean, again, the off-field stuff here, we're taking that out of the equation.
Yeah.
Which I know is hard, but the Hall of Fame is littered with that stuff. Truthfully,
Yes.
I can't punish guys for metrics that didn't exist when they played. And
no, but you can say relative to their era, and like he was a compiler. He wasn't a, I don't know. Yeah. He was a compiler.
That's fairly mild. I would say that's fairly mild. A little bit more above mild than mine, I guess. Anyway, all right, we got a lot more I think in the tank here to go through, and we also got our subscribers who gave us some good ones too. We'll read those all coming up on the rest of today's Locked On Guardians. This is not controversial. Game time. You guys want to go to some live events? There's a whole lot out there to do. I know the Cavs have lost couple in a row now, but there's still a hot ticket, right? The NFL season's winding down. The playoff games, those are fun, but like there's all kinds of stuff going on. I always talk about how Cleveland's got a great theater program. Like it's second to Broadway. You get tons of great shows coming in here. I wish we were getting better concerts, but there are still some good concerts. I actually did see some concerts I wanted to go to. If you are into live events, whether it's theater, sports, comedy, Cleveland's got a great comedy scene as well. Or music, any of that stuff. Gametime is the way to go. They have that feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets for events even easier. It cuts out all the deals you don't want to sift through. Honestly, it kind of looks through the market for you and tells you if you're getting a great deal on this ticket or not. And you get the seat viewers, so all those kind of things are good too. And the super deals tell you what the best deals are for events. And I always love the all-in pricing because then I know what I'm paying when I check out. So if I want to go to an event and I want to know exactly how much I'm paying to get in, if it's worth my time and my money, and I can turn on all-in pricing. I know, if it's $80 to get in, it's $80. There's no surprise fees with the all-in pricing. So lots of helpful things to do if you want to get into any event around Cleveland or anywhere else. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create our account, and use our code LOCKEDONMLB to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But create that account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB to get $20 off your very first Gametime purchase. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices. That is a guarantee. Before we get into more hot takes, so this goes back to hot takes and kind of spicy stuff. College Justin, this is like 10, 15 years ago now. We're talking almost 15 years ago. I thought it'd be a great idea to do the Atomic Wing Challenge. It's at Quaker Steak. Not a great idea. Not tasty sauce. And the even better part of this was that I thought it'd be great. Me and a couple friends thought it'd be a great idea to wash it down with milk because they say like milk is a great way to wash out the spice, after the effect.
Yes.
No, that doesn't work either. It's worse. It actually makes it worse. I won't go into detail about it, but let me tell you. A, don't do the Atomic Wing Challenge if there's a Quaker Steak open by you. B, don't chase it with milk. It only makes it worse. It was bad. Here's something that's not bad, Jeff. This is I try to stay away from predictions on our hot takes, but this is one prediction I'm feeling pretty good about. Tanner Bivey is going to get top 5 Cy Young votes this year. I saw this from a fantasy baseball article a few weeks ago, and I thought about it, and I was like, this makes a lot of sense. Tanner Bivey, let me list these other names for you. Lowest in-zone contact percentage from hitters last year. Number 1, Cole Reagans. Number 2, Tariq Skubal. Number 3, Chris Sale. Pretty good pitchers, right? Would you say? All good pitchers?
Yeah.
Tanner Bivey was right there with all three of them in terms of in-zone contact rate, 80%. The only 3 pitchers that had a lower in-zone contact percentage was those 3 below him. When you look at out-of-swing contact, you have guys like, if I can get the list pulled back up again here, Colin Ray, not terrible, but Logan Webb, Nestor Cortez, Jose Barrios, Eric Fetty, Kevin Gausman, Hunter Brown, Luis Severino, all had pretty good years last year. Tanner Bivey right there at 61% out of zone contact rate. So not only is he getting guys to miss in the zone with other Cy Young winners, he's also getting guys to make really bad contact out of the zone. So when you can limit guys' ability to make contact in the zone and also get them to make weak contact out of the zone, generally you're going to get good results. So I saw that those two stats put together by a fantasy baseball chart, and I looked at that and I said, okay, those are some good names to be around. So I'm going to allow that to make the case that Tanner Bybee is going to get top 5 Cy Young votes this year.
I disagree because he's in Cleveland, and people aren't going to pay attention. Like the voters are crappy. Like, let's be honest. Like, we see it with the Hall of Fame, we see it with most awards. Like, voters have a bad propensity to vote for their market or their guys. It's weird. Like, we've gotten to this point where people sometimes complain saying we're too rah-rah for the team. Then other times people say we're not rah-rah enough. And it's like, remember when voting was supposed to have some degree of impartiality with the vote? Like, it doesn't feel like that exists with some of these voters anymore. And
maybe
it's like, I
wasn't partial, but
what? No, your take. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying your take, but I'm saying that's what's going to hurt Tanner is like people, even though it's easier than ever to like watch players, it feels like people who vote on these awards are more partial than ever and tend to not pay as much attention. Like, you know, the number of people who are not familiar with Tanner yet is kind of amazing to me after the 2 years he's had. Like, he might have a lower Q rating than like Brian Bello, even though he is no doubt a better player. So
Jeff's hot take is that he doesn't like the BBWA, Baseball Writers, or VWA, whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think they need to make things more public on all things. The Hall of Fame. Like, I'll give my hot take. My hot take is a person who didn't vote for Ichiro was probably a Yankees fan and or writer because they want Mariano to be the only unanimous. Like, that is my hot take. It's like, make things more known, and if people are terrible at their job, like, take their vote away. Like, it's not something you should get just because you are one. Like, they need to police themselves better. So that's my hot take.
That's a good one. I mean, that's spicy, but that's a good one. My next one.
No, I don't deserve a vote. I'm so focused on this team. I do not deserve a vote.
Yeah,
if someone's like you're saying,
I wouldn't.
I don't deserve. By my book, I don't think I pay enough attention to deserve a vote.
I don't think I would get one either. No, and I shouldn't. I'm going to move on to this take. I think as long as he comes through spring training healthy, I think Chase DeLauder should start the year in the majors. This team did not go out and upgrade the outfield as of January 26th when we're recording this.
Every day, Dave Wendell is cheering right now with you.
If they didn't upgrade the outfield because it didn't make sense financially and they didn't want to block DeLauder long term, Will Brennan is, even if you want to hang on to Will Brennan, he can platoon with Lane Thomas in center, and you can platoon DeLauder.
They're not paying Thomas that much to platoon him, though. Let's be honest.
Okay, then Will Brennan can be the backup center fielder, and you can have DeLauder and Noel platoon or do whatever. You didn't go out and upgrade the outfield. You didn't as of January 26th. Maybe that'll change. But if you didn't go out and upgrade the outfield, if DeLauder has a good spring training, I'm not saying stats. I'm just saying if he looks the part in spring training and he's healthy, get him in the majors. If he's healthy, let the reps happen in the majors and see what happens. Because I don't know, it's about time. Like, I know he hasn't had the amount of reps in the minors at this point, but see what happens. I think if you weren't going to go out and upgrade the outfield, he's your next best option. It's not Brennan. It's not Noel, truthfully, as much as I want to believe in either of those guys. It's DeLauder. That's what you're waiting on. If he comes through spring training healthy, put him in the majors to start the year. Try for the PPI pick.
No, you're not getting the PPI pick. Because my hot take on DeLauder is that his health is the secondary concern to his swing. That I think the more I look at that swing, the more I am concerned that he's just another platoon bat if everything works out best. That he's going to get handcuffed. He's struggled with velocity in the minors when he's had those opportunities to face it. And I don't know. For them, I think Noel's the guy. I think they want to give him a real opportunity and extended time, and I think he's going to be their outfielder. I keep every time I talk about prospects. DeLauder's for sure one of my top 5, but he has like slowly moved down to 5th on the board for me. There's a reason why when I started out in this game of writing and stuff, it's like I used to be, hey, one size fits all doesn't work. But the problem is like it's not about. Guys can be different and be successful, but most guys who are different are not successful. and his swing is just one of those things that I think is going to hold him back. No, I also thought I was lower on Zach Neto than the field when in his draft year because of that. And he has found success in the big leagues in spite of having I really don't like
How
that.
much?
I mean, he's had a good amount of success, better than you'd think. I think better than most people who are not paying attention to the Angels would expect. I was wrong there, so maybe I'll be wrong with this, but I think the health is the headliner. But to me, I think the bigger issue, honestly, is I think that swing. I don't think he's going to hit for as much power because he's cheating all the time. It's going to be hard to really. Either that or pitchers are going to start fooling him. I'm concerned about him and velocity. So, I mean, I'm not opposed to him starting, and hey, maybe you go for PPI, but I think that I see a lot of places with a 45 or 50 grade. I'm close to a 40 grade on him just because they're so. So I just have him closer to a 40 grade because I think in some respects, and not counting the guys who are always hurt, that he might be the riskiest prospect in the top 10 just because non-typical swing is always scary, and then just the injury. So yeah, I mean, hey, why not run him out? I guess to your side of it, if I'm going to go the other way, it's hey, if it's going to work in AAA, it's likely going to work in the majors, so why not? Maybe your take isn't that hot, but my take is kind of more of with DeLauter's the concerns about that swing.
Yeah, I didn't predict how good he was going to be. I just said at this point you might as well try because you didn't upgrade over Will Brennan and John Kenson-Noel, and DeLauter could be better than both. He might have to be a unicorn. I think he's going to have to be a unicorn. Yeah. But I don't think he can be any worse than Noel and Brennan have been so far. So, and I think if you just looked at pure talent across the board, I think you would come away, even with the risks, I would say that DeLauter at least has more, I don't know, is talent the right word? I think there's
physical
more upside
tools.
there's more physical tools. There's more upside with DeLauter than I don't know. Does DeLauter have more upside than John Kenson-Noel? The true upside? We know what Noel's ceiling is, and I don't think either of us feel like he's going to reach it. Does DeLauter not have the same upside as Noel?
I don't think so, because I think that the ceiling on Noel runs well for his size, and the power is as good as it gets in the minors. I think pure ceiling, I think Noel's is better than DeLauter's, which I know a lot of people love him. But I think just in terms of ceiling, it's you're talking about.
DeLauter's more realistic than Noel, even with his injuries and swing.
Yes.
Yeah.
True.
So I would say if DeLauter's more talented and it's more realistic, I would say it's time to give him the shot because you didn't, like I said, they didn't go out and upgrade right field. All right, I got a couple more. I got a movie one, Jeff. I'm going to throw out there. And I know Jeff's going to disagree with my movie one. I know he's going to. And we've also got some listener ones as well. We're going to from the insiders. So. Stay tuned for more hot takes on this Monday edition of Locked On Guardians. Jeff, I know you love a good movie one, so are you ready for this one? I know you're not going to like this. Major League 2 was good.
I actually agree with you.
Major League 2. Really? I'm kind of surprised. I didn't think you would. I'm curious how people actually agree with us then, because a lot of people are like, "Oh, Major League 2 is awful." I think Major League 2 was a great movie.
I don't think it great. It had some solid moments.
I mean, okay, I didn't really love, replacing. Was it Wesley Snipes was in the second
Omar
one?
Epps, maybe?
Yeah, I didn't really like Omar Epps replacing Wesley Snipes. That was not great, but you've got the dugout fight. That Bob Uecker, R.I.P. Bob Uecker, he's calling a dugout fight. That's a great moment. And you've got the manager. Lou Brown is in the hospital. Yeah, Lou Brown, rest his soul, is dancing in the hospital of them winning the pennant, and he's got this British television show on, and the nurses are like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I love this. You know what?" And he's just dancing on there. There are so many good moments.
I will say, I liked the Rube character, the catcher, and his approach to it. I don't think you could get away with the Japanese outfielder anymore, but I have definitely made jokes about marbles throughout the years. Thanks to that movie. Now we can also admit, anyone out there, the obvious elephant in the room with that movie is they toned it down. Right? Instead of being R, as a PG-13 movie, they went for. And it's a hard movie to make a sequel to. It is a money grab, but have I enjoyed it over the years? Has it brought me laughs? Absolutely. It has. quite a bit, honestly. So I'm not gonna say it was great. I'm not gonna say even it was good, but I'll say like it is a movie I have enjoyed.
A lot of people say they don't think it's terrible, and I'm like, I think it's a good movie.
I have refused to watch Back to the Minors, the third in the series with Scott Bakula.
I almost used that, and I almost said it was a good. There was entertainment moments. I will say, you're saying Major League 2 wasn't great, but it had entertainment moments. I will say Major League 3 Back to the Minors had entertaining moments. It does. There are some really good. You should give it a try.
Here's the movie question for you. What is better, Little Big League or Rookie of the Year in terms of that same era of movie?
Ooh, I got to be honest. I love Little Big League. I love. It's like choosing which is your favorite arm, your right or your left arm. I don't know. I guess I love Little Big League. If I go by how many times I've watched each movie, I will say I've probably binged as a kid. I probably binged Little Big League a lot more than I binged Rookie of the Year. I think I just identified more as the character getting to manage the big league team versus the kid who broke his arm and got to pitch.
For some reason, I had, because I was the age when those movies came out, like being older than you, whereas you couldn't have seen them in theaters. I think I saw Rookie of the Year in the theater. I had the novelization of Rookie of the Year, so I read that thing. Like I had the novelization of Rookie of the Year and the novelization of D2, the second Mighty Ducks movies, and those two novels got read a lot. Like they were just kind of like comfort food books for me as a kid. So I like Rookie of the Year better, but it's not even necessarily because of the movie. It's because of how many times I read the book version, which always they don't have to cut anything. Like I got inside info when you read the book, stories and things that don't appear in the actual movie appear in the book. So that was kind of like a bonus, fun deleted scenes before they even existed or probably even made.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. I'm learning new things today. But yeah, I watched Little Big League way more than Rookie of the Year. They're both great.
The Night Nurses got to you too many times.
Night Nurses from Jersey, yes. I was very a victim of the Night Nurses from Jersey, unfortunately. Thank God my mom never caught me. This is another prediction one. The Carlos Santana reunion is not going to work. And I feel bad saying that, but I don't think it's going to work. I just think that he had to make some adjustments. I know he made adjustments last year and he turned things around, but he was kind of a platoon bat for part. He should have been a platoon bat for times last year. He's 39 and I know he won a Gold Glove and that's good. Maybe I should qualify this with not going to work in terms of he is not going to equal what Josh Naylor is going to do. I think they're going to regret not keeping Naylor and believing that Santana is going to give them equal value. I think they're going to miss Naylor's power, and Santana may very well have the same WRC plus, but I don't think it's going to equate out the way we think it is. So I guess I'm going to go with that framework and say that the reunion with Carl Santana this time is not going to be as bountiful as it was before, unfortunately. Hope I'm wrong. I love Carlos, but I hope I'm wrong.
I think one of the things we have to always point out is that Arizona is such a hitter's park that it's like if Josh Naylor doesn't outperform Carlos Santana offensively next year, that means that Josh Naylor, it's bad because Arizona is the second most friendly hitter's park to Coors. Like it's more friendly to hit in Arizona than to hit in Cincinnati. So Josh should have huge numbers out there. I'm still a believer. I think the one big thing we saw, Josh Naylor, we never really saw consistent adjustments with him. Like, there were points where he would struggle. And I think that's part of the reason they moved on. Whereas you talked about it, and you even sent me the initial tweet thread about it. Like Santana took off when he kind of started making some adjustments in the pitch in a bat in one game where he just kind of cut back on his leg step. One thing that guy's been good at is knowing who he is and how to do it. And I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if Naylor outproduces him, but I don't know if it's going to be a regret. I don't know if I would say it's not going to work out. I think it's going to work out. I think it may not be quite as productive. And again, going back to your previous hot take, I think they think that home run gap is going to be thanks to Noel in right field. I think they think that he can do it, which you and I maybe don't
believe he can do it?
No. I've been very honest about the fact that swing changes don't happen. And outside of Jonathan Rodriguez, no one is consistently, because you can't even say like, hey, Luis Robert too, because Robert's had up and down seasons and he's someone else who's like, his bones are made of the same thing as Chase DeLauder's. So it's like you can't count on that guy to play all the time, the same way you can't count on Robert. So without Robert, it's really just, you know, it's sorry, my other computer just died. It threw me off. It's really just Jonathan Rodriguez who succeeds with a profile like that, which probably makes him a unicorn more than a successful player.
Sure. All right, you got one more because we got it to listeners one. So you got one more?
Sorry, I don't, because my computer just died on me. So my list went away over here. So let's go to the listeners, because I've got a completely dead secondary computer that has all of my notes in a instead of being in documents, it's on my notepad in there. So it's
living in the 19th century over there, Jeff.
Yeah.
Jeez. All right, this one comes from Danny H, one of our insiders. This is a long-term prediction. He says the Guardians are going to trade for Jake Irvin from the Nationals at the deadline, so he's going way out on this one. He thinks that Tristan McKenzie winds up in San Francisco or Miami. It would not be great if he goes to Miami, but San Francisco, they have a lot of pitching, and they've developed pitching well, so I'd be curious to see what they take a chance on him for. It says that Slade Ciccone will end up being a swingman, and he predicts that Logan Allen ends up in AAA. I like swinging for the fences. I'm not really. I have to do a little more deep work on Jake Irvin. I know he was interesting a year ago, but I like to play for long term in terms of trades here.
Yeah, I mean, Jake Irvin was.
I do have questions about McKenzie, so.
Yeah, I mean, if McKenzie ends up in those spots, it's because he got cut. Let's be honest.
Right.
Like that's where he's going. Irvin is he's Slade Ciccone, but I believe left. No, he's Slade Ciccone. Like it's all breaking off speed. It's extension and walks and ground balls. It's his fastball is poor, and that's what holds him back. So he is basically Slade Ciccone. They have Jake Irvin.
I would be very concerned if they have to trade for Jake Irvin. That would be my big worry. They feel like they have to trade for him. That what happened, because they should have more starting pitching depth this year.
Yeah, that's gonna be one that goes sideways. Like I said, I think McKenzie's cut. I want to see what if they can work with Ciccone. I think he is, outside of Ortiz, he's the guy I'm most intrigued by, because a bunch of smart teams wanted him. In Arizona's pitching development, it's like when they got Gallen, he was finished. When they got, they had to go out inside Burns. Merrill Kelly was a finished product. Brandon Pafat, I think he's kind of disappointed based on his pedigree Ryan as a Nelson. Prospect. Ryan Nelson, I think, has been successful. And I think, like Jameson would have worked as a closer, who was someone they drafted, but they've drafted a ton of high school kids, much like Cleveland. It hasn't gone as well. They've been better at hitter development than pitcher development, but it's been a mixed bag, because this is also a team that currently has Josh Naylor might be their DH right now.
Yeah. All right. Next hot take from our Locked On Guardians insider is from Ethan C. He says that Luis Ortiz is going to get a Cy Young vote. He didn't say what vote. I think you can vote for up to 10 of them. So I guess we're talking at least a 10th place vote here, very down ballot. I buy this one. This is a bold prediction, but I buy this one. I don't have as much stats here going on off the top of my head like I did for Tanner Bybee, but I'm excited about Ortiz. I think there are some really nice things to work with here. He had a successful second half. The Guardians clearly buy that the second half was where he's going. I could buy this one. And then honestly, if he does, that means great things for this team, because I think, I don't know, it's hard for more than one pitcher to get a Cy Young vote. Like the years that Kluber and Carrasco both got Cy Young votes were impressive. It's very hard to see that happen. But this would mean a lot of good things for Cleveland if he does. So I'm irrationally excited for Luis Ortiz, and I could see this one. It might be a little bit hard to see, but I don't think it's impossible. So I love the bold prediction here from Ethan C.
Yeah, he's another. Of course, he's got extension. He's got a pretty ugly savant page, except for the fact you go to the top, and it's like he's really successful because his fastball was amongst the best in baseball. He doesn't miss enough bats, and that's why I think it's a hot take, because I don't know if he's really ever going to be a huge strikeout guy. Like that's kind of the knock on him, and we do see K's be a driver in such things. And the one thing has been a little bit worried with Ortiz is he's a bigger dude, which is always a concern, but Cleveland doesn't seem to matter, and that he's coming from an org that's actually pretty good at development. So they've had a lot of young, successful arms come up. Even if you discount Skeens, is just he is what he is. The job they've done with Bubba Chandler. I'm blanking on the other young kid they have up in AAA. The reason they could trade Ortiz, Joe, but there's another interesting prospect in AAA.
Harrington.
Yes, yeah. Well, no, and another guy. There's a third. So they've done a really good job. I think Ortiz is I think he is a starter. I think he's probably a 4, but I think I don't know if we're going to see him make a leap. That'd be my hot take, because I think he might be similar to what he's been and just be a really solid, just a solid pitcher.
All right, Jeff's throwing cold water all over Ethan's take. It was too spicy for him. This is where Jeff would be drinking the milk, and like I said, I definitely don't agree with drinking milk after hot wings. Just a life tip there.
Drink some eggnog after those hot wings. That would have cooled you off.
You know what? I left that out because people already know it's not a hot take. Most people agree with me. Eggnog is not tasty. All right, it's just not.
Our comments disagree. Most people agreed with me. You are in the minority on that take. You are in the minority on that take. We're gonna have to do a poll.
I'm gonna run the poll. We're gonna get the science behind this one. Is eggnog good? This comes from our friend Aaron B. Aaron, by the way, was texting us through the Insider program, and he was like talking. Is
this Aaron, who's the Virginia fan? Is this Aaron Bachman?
It is.
Is it?
And it is. And we were texting about, wanting to ask, can I text you guys here? And I was like, yeah, this is what it's for. The Insider program is for you guys to text us, and we can talk about baseball. I said, Aaron, as long as you don't text us about University of Virginia hitters, you can text us about anything. That's the only thing you're not allowed to text us about, except for Mark Reynolds, but. His hot take is that Juan Brito is going to solidify the number 2 spot in the lineup by June. And this is another one I buy. I'll be very curious to see what happens if he does, because one of my hot takes that I didn't really get to is that the Guardians should bring Travis Bazan up by summer this year. But if Juan Brito solidifies the number 2 spot in the lineup by June, that's going to become an interesting proposition. So I like Juan Brito, but moving him to the 2 spot is almost like Stephen Kwan-esque when he took over leadoff spot from Miles Straw in 2022. That'd be very bold, but I'm here for it.
I still, if I were to do a hot take at this point, it's I think they should try to still find a way to try to sign Ha-Seong Kim. And if I agree, Brito has a chance to solidify, but if Brito doesn't work out, then Kim can slide into second base for the rest of this year until Bazan is ready. If Ryokyo continues to be Miles Straw of shortstops, then you can slot Kim in there. He just becomes the security blanket for this team as they run out 2 very young, unproven players up the middle. I think there is a world where Brito does this. He doesn't strike out too much. He's a little bit passive. I have a hard time knowing, if his power last year is legit just because of where he is playing. I feel like he's close to probably a 50, maybe a 45. He can get into some, but I think he's had a chance. You always say, I always say, go to the guys who have constantly produced. And that dude, his worst WRC plus in the minors was last year at a 113.
And that was because he had a bad April.
Yeah.
And he had a bad September, but yeah, May through August, he was one of the hottest hitters in minor league baseball. I agree. All right, 2 more before we get out here in this edition. Drew D, our insider, says, rather Cleveland focus on a Lane Thomas extension than Stephen Kwan. This is a spicy one because I'm going to be honest. I don't agree. I don't think they should extend Lane Thomas at all. I think he'll have a great season in 2025. I don't know what the definition of great is here, but I think he'll be a valuable contributor to the 25 team. I don't think Cleveland should extend their partnership beyond 2025. That's just my take there, but that's definitely a hot one.
I agree with you.
I'm a little blown away
because he's going to turn 30 this year. You're getting him through the beginning, not his age 30 season. It's mostly his age 29 season, but he's a smaller guy. We talked about Jose has so far been an anomaly, but he's listed at 6 feet. I think Lane Thomas is not 6 feet. I think I've seen him in the past reported as 5'10" or 5'11", and those sub 6 foot guys don't always age well. So, and there was the health issue before this. So I just kind of look at all that and I'm like, but I will say this for that dude's career, he has a 107 OPS plus. I'm over now on Baseball Reference. Almost every single season in the big leagues. Last year, he ended up at a 101 combined. He has been, I guess it depends on cost. I'm kind of,
what are you buying? What are you buying? Yeah.
If you're getting a guy who's just, I know it sounds not exciting to be hey, he's close to league average. He might be a potential 2020 guy every year who's, a poor defensive metrics. And it's but at the same time, with what we have seen with this team in the outfield, that sounds like a starter. So I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
It depends on cost.
It depends on
It depends on cost.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Give some respect to our short kings. That was rude. You said sub 6. You don't like sub 6 foot guys. Don't be.
Well, they just don't age
discriminating by
well.
height.
That's
Come
all I'm
on.
saying. They don't age well.
They're lower. They're lower gravity. What do you call that? Center gravity makes them age better. Come on. Matt M. is our last hot take from our subscriber list. Matt M. Gavin Williams gets a top 5 Cy Young vote. I also could see this. I actually have a corresponding take to this that I want to share. I didn't put this on here, and I should have, but I think we're going to do an episode of Lockdown Guardians leftovers here in a little bit. Spoiler alert. So if you're enjoying this episode and you want to hear more, once a week, Jeff and I are going to be doing, not once a week, I'm sorry, that's too much. Once a month, Jeff and I are doing a Lockdown Guardians leftover show where stuff we don't get to during the show. And once a month, we'll also do a mailbag. So we'll have 2 bonus episodes a month, mailbag and some leftovers. I have a Gavin Williams leftover take based off of this one. But top 5 Cy Young votes, again, this is something I could absolutely see. I would order this off the menu and not be too scared because I think it's possible.
I don't know. I feel like last year we saw a guy who was not able to trust his second best pitch and struggled with effectiveness. So like that's, to me, it's a very spicy take because Gavin Williams was kind of mediocre to poor a year ago as a starter. Like, I mean, they didn't even want to trust him in the postseason until they had to. And you're taking him from like, we can't trust you to, one of the 10 best pitchers in the American League, probably only about 10 guys get votes. So that's a big rise. I mean, my hot take is I think he's closer to being a reliever than he is to getting a Cy Young vote.
Yeah, it's fair. That's also very fair. I don't know. I would order this and I would order a glass of milk apparently after it because it's definitely a rough one. All right. Jeff and I did say we will do a Lockdown Guardians leftover for the subscribers. If you want to be a subscriber, the link is in the show description. It's also on the YouTube screen. Hit us up over there. We got Lockdown Guardians leftovers coming this week as well. We have the Lockdown Guardians live stream fest coming on February 1st at 9:30. We'll get the link there. It's going to be us. I believe Sully from Lockdown MLB is going to be there. We've got some other people who we're talking to about showing up there, and we hope you're there too. We'd love to just chat about baseball and Guardians stuff over there. So hit us up over there. You can share more spicy takes on that as well. It's going to be a free for all. So who knows what'll happen. Jeff will be back this week. It's another 3 episode week.
Mm-hmm.
We are still 3 episodes a week until February 10th. So coming up soon, we're going to be back to our 5 days in a row very quickly. But for the next 2 weeks, or at least this week, you'll have a bonus episode coming if you're an insider. So sign up to be there. Nothing changes with the regular podcast. We're still 3 days a week. Right now, we'll be 5 days a week, February 10th. But if you want some bonus episodes and some other bonus content, sign up. We'd love to chat with you over there. Thank you all for the hot takes, by the way. Appreciate you guys responding to all that and enjoyed that. Yep. Let us know if these were spicy or mild.
Thank you all for joining us. Remember, rate and review, download daily. Make sure you are subscribed. That is an easy thing you can do. The cheap and easy thing you can always do is subscribe, thumbs up, and comment. Thank you all, and go Guardians, go.